experience last year coming to the college football playoff?
Great experience. I think the guys have said it all week. Like last year, there was a little bit of, we won the Big Ten, we beat Ohio. This year, I think the mission has been clear from the beginning of where we wanted to go, how we wanted to get there. So it's just been a focus on trying to get better each day, trying to get better, trying to be at our best at the right time. So we're looking forward to a great challenge at TCU.
You faced a couple kind of challenging passing offenses the last two games. You got another one coming up. What did you learn from the last two, and what's your kind of overall approach when it comes to facing yet another one?
That we have really good players. We got to try to put them in position to be successful. We got to limit explosive plays. I think going back the last two games, Ohio, there's an explosive play that hit us in the first half, like to have back, a couple others. Purdue was a little bit more like dink and dunk and just matching up our fits and zone coverages. And so great learning experiences for our guys going into this type of offense. So much respect for TCU and the players they have, the quarterback they have, the coaches they have. And they'll be a great challenge, but hopefully we've learned a lot about ourselves and been able to fix some issues that have popped up, and looking forward to seeing how it looks on Saturday.
You guys haven't faced a ton of mobile quarterbacks this season. I mean, a few, but not maybe to this extent. I guess, how do you prepare for that, and how prepared do you feel like you guys are at this point?
He's a really, really good football player, second in the Heisman. Desmond Howard, I was catching SportsCenter while I was working out. He called him the right-handed Tim Tebow, which was a pretty high remark. So I do see that. He's a guy that makes everybody around him better. He's willing to do whatever it takes to move the ball, to make plays. And so he puts his body on the line as a runner quite often. I think we see it every day. I think, we go against J.J. McCarthy all the time in practice. As much good on good as we do is great work for this type of guy. We've seen a couple, certainly not the last two. The last two, passers have been more sit in the pocket type of guys. So a different test here. It'll test our discipline as pass rushers. It'll test our discipline in coverage to be able to stay in coverage when he extends plays. And so it'll be a great test and one we look forward to.
How big of a boost will Mike Morris give you out there again?
Yeah, Mike's a great player. One of the first guys I met with when I got here, and he's had such a tremendous year. So I'm obviously very excited to see him back and see him back at full strength.
Thanks.
Jesse, I know you're relatively new around here, but you were familiar with the defense. I'm wondering how much did you want to change or tweak? Obviously, you're always going to put a little spin for your own, but how much did you try to keep what's in place because it works so well?
Yeah, I think it was cool to walk in and there be a system in place as far as just overall terminology, how we set the front, how we do all the things. I think anytime you come in new, you definitely have your own, I have my own philosophy on how to do things, how to stop people, how to play certain coverages. And so certainly some things that we've tweaked, but overall it was great for the guys to have a baseline of the system and then just to kind of be able to come in and work off of that. Made it really feel like second year of the defense for these guys.
Again, you've been still relatively new here, but I feel like your defense is an interesting mix of sort of like some developmental players who have great successes. From your outside in and now inside view of the program, what makes Michigan good at sort of development of players?
Ben Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, the way we operate, the way that we work on football. I think to get good at football, you have to play football. You have to practice football. So we practice really hard. In the spring and fall when it's not necessarily game on the line that week, we get a lot of reps. Our guys are always getting better at football. They work really hard in the off season. It's a really good mix of guys that, Will Johnson's a five-star. He comes in and plays as a freshman. Mike Morris is in his fourth year. Mikey Sanderson, these guys are in their fourth year, and now they're showing to be really, really high-end players. And so I think, number one, we don't, you always want to recruit the best players you can, but I also think fit and qualities that you think can develop. Not everybody is developed in high school at the same rate. So I think when you recruit guys that have really good traits, really good qualities, the goal is that your players play like five stars when they're in college, not regardless of how they played in high school. So I think we got a bunch of guys that play like they were higher recruited than they were, and that's a credit to Ben Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, all the guys that have been here developing these guys over the years.
Mike seems to gain especially interesting developmental success switching positions. What does he mean to your defense?
Mikey is the epitome of how we play, the epitome of this program, kind of a willingness to do whatever it takes for the team to be successful. I think that's really where it started. It was like, hey, there's an opening on defense. What do you think? And like didn't bat an eye of wanting to take the challenge of moving over, replacing a first-round draft choice, and nonetheless. And so I think that mentality, that attitude, really just that's the whole program right now, and that's everybody's willing to do whatever it takes for us to be successful. And so seeing him move over, seeing his journey, you know, I think back on the year and the plays that he's made in critical moments. It's incredible. It's a movie script the way he's played this year. So I'm excited to see him get a chance to do it again this Saturday.
You talked about going against your offense. What is different about Michigan's offensive line from others you've gone up against or even coached against?
You know, I think our offensive line just one, they're really talented players. Two, work really, really well together. So I think I've said this before. Sharon Moore is the best offensive line coach in college football, and the way that he gets these guys to play as a unit, whether it's same five guys, we've had multiple lineups this year because of some injuries, and it's been really cool to see just no drop off. Like, guys start one week, not start the next week, different guy in there, and then I also think how we practice and how we develop guys. The toughness is developed year-round here, and how we go about our business, especially training camp, spring ball, the amount of physical football that we play. I said it earlier, like you get good at that by doing that. I think there's a lot of people that want to be physical, that want to talk about being physical. I don't know that they're willing to do that because they're afraid of guys getting hurt, or they're afraid of this, that, and the other. And I think Coach Harbaugh has just stuck to his guns and said, like, look, to be good at football, you got to practice football. And football is played at a really, really high speed, at a really physical nature. And, you can do it every single day, but the opportunities that we do, I think it develops that mentality and that toughness on our offensive line.
The funny thing among media and fans is that every fan thinks that their strength and conditioning program's the best. They have the best strength coach. They're always, chewing on glass and everything. But Michigan's strength coach, the through line has been amazing offensive lines and defensive lines, Wisconsin, Michigan. How much credit does he deserve, and what does he do that gets you guys so gritty for a season?
Yeah, he deserves as much credit for our success as anybody. Extremely valuable. I don't, not to give away his secrets, but the proof is like a lot of people say that, and then there's places where it's backed up by, like you said, the O-lines that he's produced, the D-lines that he's produced, the second half numbers, the fourth quarter numbers. That's all starts with strength and conditioning. So you can talk about halftime adjustments and all that, but ultimately it comes down to, like, our guys are at their best later in the game, play 55, play 60, play 65. So it starts with Ben Herbert, and huge piece of our success.
What's one